have in front of me a Sky 45cm Zone 1 satellite dish. So basically this is mainly used in England and Wales. Normally in Scotland and Ireland they're using Zone 2 dishes, which are larger. The reason it's called a 45cm dish is that the distance from here to here, the overall height is 45 centimeters. So it's quite a popular dish, and it's very impressive in terms of, for the size of it, the level of gain it gives. There's an enormous amount of design effort gone into these dishes. The reason that we stock it here at freetv.ie, despite the fact we stock mainly into the Irish market, is that for two reasons. There's parts of Ireland in the southeast where a Zone 1 dish will work extremely well, but the amount of area in which the Zone 1 dishes will work is increasing all the time, simply because the strength of the signals coming off satellites are generally increasing. So it means that eventually something like this will probably be able to use right across Britain and Ireland. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to give an overview of the basic assembly on it. Now, one of the advantages of this is apart from being neater and more compact, it's also easier to assemble, and presumably as well it's for the manufacturers it's slightly less expensive to make as well, and has a slightly lower retail price for that reason. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move the skin out of the way for a moment. Okay, so there's four basic components to it. So there's the skin, there's the bracketry that goes in the back, there's a bracket that's mounted on the wall, and then we have the nuts and bolts that come in the sealed bag that I'm going to talk about now in a moment. Okay, so the first thing is to lift this up, and this is the part that will hold the L&B. It snaps out like that, and what we can do then is we can just rotate this around to the side, and we can have some idea of how we're going to mount this. So before I go any further, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to come along here, and this part here is what controls the angle of the dish, and I'm going to add in these two extra bolts here just now, because it's actually easier at this point in the assembly to add them in rather than later. So I'm just sliding them straight through, and what this means is that we can set the angle that we have the dish pointing upwards or downwards. And the interesting thing is that the Astra 2 satellite we're aiming at is at about 21 degrees in terms of the angle we need to be pointing up in. But because that is allowed for in the design of the Sky dish, if we actually got a spirit level, we can have the dish perfectly vertical, and it'll actually be picking up from a 21 degree offset. So what we do now is we come along and we just slide this dish arm directly in here. And what we can see here now is the dish at that point actually to a large extent looks more or less fully assembled. And what we can do is we can use these screws here. So in previous designs here, what we'd have is a nut and a bolt. But in this particular one here, what we have to do is just to slide it over here. We line it up with a threaded back in terms of the bracketry here. And then we just screw the whole thing directly in. And I'll just screw that in. So I don't want to waste a lot of time here on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loosely screw in the top and bottom corners here. And it'll be sufficient to hold on the dish to a large extent. I'll just put in one more screw actually. So a medium, or even better a large Phillips screwdriver now is what I need for this part of the assembly process. So we come along and we've done the assembly here. And we can see if we wanted it, we just get our L&B, we'd snap it on directly here. And now what we've done is I've loosened this off here. And what I've used is a 10mm spanner here, and I can lock this in to the angle that we wanted it. So the reason that it's not in the right position initially is simply because what we're trying to do is we are trying to minimize the packing area. And so the design is here to have the maximum units, and you just rotate this around at 90 degrees like that. So next what we do is we'd actually mount this directly onto a wall if we needed to. And what we can do is we can slide this in here, and once again we can use these nuts and bolts here to slide directly through from above like this, or actually from the inside out, and we just lock it directly into position, and we use the washer on the outside to lock it in. And what this means is, and I'm just going to hop up for a moment and just demonstrate this a little bit better possibly. I'll just slide that out of the way. If we came along and we had our bracket mounted onto the wall here, it means then that we can actually just rotate our dish around like this. So it's giving us our full 180 degree rotation here. Well, 90 degrees is really what we need here. But we're going to rotate it around like that. And also here, in terms of our elevation angle, we can tilt the dish up and down off this here. So it's giving good flexibility in terms of the overall thing. So in terms of the design of it and the ease of assembly of it, it's extremely good. It's popular both with people who are trying to have a discrete dish mounted in their house, particularly if they're in the southeast corner of Ireland. But also, we'll say, it's sometimes used by people who are using it for camping, moving around. They want to have a neat sort of dish that they can bring with them and have it pretty well assembled. And they know from experience that the main satellite things almost right across Ireland can be picked up with this. Where you really can run into problems with a smaller dish like this is if you're going for some of the less popular channels that are not on the central beams and you're in the extreme, we'll say, northwest location, then all of a sudden you can have some type of thing. But there is, the Zone 1 dish itself, it's not nearly as widely used as it could be in terms of, there's an awful lot of applications where it'll work quite well. So that's it anyway, an overview of the Zone 1 45 centimetre Sky dish available directly from freetv.ie.